Welcome to video 2 for the intro to a fresh approach for the beginning percussion class. In this video, we're going to talk about how to grip the sticks properly, how to produce a nice relaxed rebound stroke, and then we're going to introduce you to your first one-hand exercise that you'll need to know before you get to lesson 1. So, we're going to take a stick, either one of them. Remember the tip, the taper, the shoulder, the shaft, the butt. We need all of that. To find out where to grip the stick properly, different sticks are different lengths. So there's not one place on every stick that you're going to want to grip. What I like to have you do is to imagine the stick is divided up into thirds. And you can kind of see what I'm doing here is I'm kind of picturing myself dividing the stick into thirds. There's a top third, there's a middle third, and the bottom third. In the bottom third is where we want to put our fulcrum. And the fulcrum basically is just the place where we wrap our fingers around, and just like a teeter-totter or any type of fulcrum, it's where the stick will move back and forth in our hand. So let's talk about the fulcrum. Now that we have that perfect place, all right, you can measure the stick, divide it by 3, but for me, I'm just going to figure out where I put my thumb. So you want your thumb on the stick in that place. Now what I like to do after I kind of have that place where I'm going to grip the stick, with my beginners, sometimes I'll put either a rubber band, and I'll make sure that my third is just a little bit, the rubber band is just a little bit above the third of the stick, or a piece of tape, or you can take a magic marker and mark that spot, because you really want to make sure that as you're playing, you don't wind up creeping up, because that's going to affect the balance of the stick, or creeping back. So you can do that. After a while, a stick will feel right, exactly right to you. If I'm too far up, it doesn't feel good. If I'm too far back, it doesn't feel good. So after a while, you'll get to where you know what the feel of a stick is, and you don't have to really worry about exactly where to grip it. But for right now, finding that third, putting your thumb on the third, and then adding the first finger. Now, we want that first finger to wrap around the stick. We want to make sure that my fulcrum is the pad of the thumb with the first joint of the index finger. So this is my fulcrum. This is where the stick rebounds or moves in the hand. So that's going to be my fulcrum. Now, there are different schools of thought into how far down the first finger that I'm going to go. Some teachers like to teach that the stick is a little bit further down and this space here is open. Okay, that means that the fulcrum is between the thumb and that joint, right around that line of your index finger. And then some teachers like to teach where this is closed. That's where the thumb is in that, or the fulcrum is in that first section between the two joints. Now, I generally, depending on what you're doing, if you're going into high school marching band, or if you're going to be playing loud or drum set, or rock drums or anything like that, having that fulcrum and having this closed right here will give you a little bit more power. This, I use everything in my playing. You can go all the way to the tip, which gives you a lot of finesse, but you can feel it if you put that fulcrum at your thumb and the tip of your finger and you start waving it around. You can feel that, oh man, now I'm really tense because there's no power in here. But I can use that to play very finesseful if I'm playing really, really soft playing. So a little bit more finesse, and then once I get up to here and then I move it around, you can feel that that's very sturdy with a lot of power. If you're playing in a marching band, you're playing out on a football field and you're playing big, loud playing, you're going to want a very strong fulcrum. But it's up to you and your teacher on whether you want that open or closed. All right, so this is your fulcrum. So you want to take your stick, you want your thumb to be on the stick, you want that finger wrapped around, and you want to be able to move it around. So just take your stick in both hands, find that great fulcrum place with your right and your left hand, find that nice balance point on your stick. Take your fingers off of the stick for a second and just wave it around a little bit. Just kind of move the stick and see if you can get it to wobble back and forth. All right? If you can do that, then you're already ready to kind of start playing the drum. But a couple of other things that we want to cover. Where the stick falls in your hand becomes very important. If you have your sticks very far towards your fingers in the palm of your hand, and I'll show you that real here, and I wrap my fingers around, that's going to produce a very weird stroke. Okay, so I can't go straight up and down because my sticks are not an extension of my body. So you're also going to feel that your hands and your elbows are all out here. And we call this a chicken wing grip because you look like you have chicken wings. So definitely don't want to do that. That's too far out. The other place that some people will play, or they'll get into the bad habit, is moving the sticks to where they're on the heel of the hand down here. Now again, bad place for most snare drum playing. When I'm playing here, I have to have my sticks almost parallel. So again, if you wiggle your hands around, I don't have use of my fingers because they're not touching the stick. So we don't want to do that. So too far out, too far in the middle is just right. For me, I kind of have it in the heel of my hand to where the fat part of my hand, the palm of my hand, the sticks fall right there. So I can feel that hitting as I wiggle this around. I can feel that hitting in the back heel of my hand. Okay? Now, as I wrap my back fingers around, the back 3 fingers, I just want to curve them around the stick. I don't want to squeeze the stick. And this becomes really important as we learn our first stroke style, the rebound stroke. We want to make sure that we always have some space between the fingers and the palm of the hand. So the stick is going to rotate in here. The back fingers are going to support the stick. Okay? Eventually, you'll learn how to use your back fingers to dribble the stick. But for right now, just having those back fingers wrapped around, you can feel as you wiggle the stick with those back fingers around, you can feel the stick alternating between hitting the fingers and hitting the heel of the hand. So you really want that space in there so that that your hand is really relaxed. If you squeeze and try that, you can see that all of a sudden I've introduced a lot of tension in my wrist. So try that once. Grab a hold of the sticks and squeeze it really hard and then try to move the stick. Okay? If you notice, it kind of hurts and it makes you tired really fast. That's because I've got a lot of tension in the muscles. So relax those fingers. If you take them all the way off, you don't have any support. If you pull them back around, relax those fingers and just kind of wave it around. That is that nice, relaxed approach to gripping the sticks. Now, we talked about where to put the drum. We want to make sure that the drum, that our hands are not parallel. They're not too low. They're not too high. Parallel, but just a little bit down. So this was perfect height for me, but I added the practice pad, which raised it about that much. So I'm going to lower that just a little bit for me. There. Now you can notice that my arms are a little bit below parallel. My hand and my stick is just an extension of my wrist. So you have your sticks. You got them. You got your grip nice. Start off by, every time that you step up to the drum, start off by relaxing your shoulders, making sure that your shoulders and your body is relaxed. Because I see this all the time where students will, as soon as they pick up their sticks, they'll get their shoulders all hunched up and they'll be all tense in their neck. and tense in their elbows and all that. So we want to make sure that you're nice and relaxed. When you bring your sticks to the practice pad or drum, you want to keep your elbows nice and relaxed. So almost like I'm just lifting up my hands without anything changing up here. So I don't want to bring up my sticks and have my elbows away from my body, because that's not very natural. And as we're playing, that will cause a lot of tension in your shoulders as you play for longer periods of time, okay? You'll see sometimes drummers, especially on a marching field, you might see guys with their elbows very far out. There's reasons for that, but for right now, bring up your sticks, shake it out, make sure that your neck is relaxed, your shoulders are relaxed, your elbows are close to your body, and your sticks are in the right position. The things that you don't want to see is that the sticks are too close, your hands are close, all right? You don't want to see your hands too far apart. So what we want to do is establish the angle of your sticks. The angle should be not a 90 degree. A 90 degree angle is going to push my hands out a little too far. We don't want it too shallow because my hands will come into my body and I won't be able to move the hands around. We want 90, but a little bit less. We can call it 65, we can call it 70. Doesn't really matter. Just remember that a 90 degree angle is like the corner of a square, but we want that to be smaller than the corner of a square. So as we put our sticks in the center of the practice pad or the drum, you can quickly look down at your sticks and you can notice all of the checkpoints I like to use. Sticks are in the center. Coming up here, my fulcrum is even. I don't want my thumb too high or too low. I want my thumb and my first finger right across from each other. I want the full pad of my thumb on the stick, not above the stick, not below the stick, on the stick, right there. So I have my fulcrum checkpoint. Make sure that that is right. I have my back fingers wrapped around the stick. If you look down, you could probably see just a little bit of the butt end of the stick poking out from the back of your hand. So as you look at your hands, making sure that if I don't have any sticking out, then I'm doing this, which I don't want to do. If I have it too much, you're not going to get a 90 degree angle or 70 degree angle or whatever that is. One of these days I'm going to measure it so I know what I'm talking about. All right, so 90 but less, and my hands are basically flat, basically. So if you take your hands and you go flat, you can feel yourself getting tense as I go from this, where I'm looking at my thumbs, rotating my hands. That feels really nice and comfortable. And then it gets to a point where I start feeling that tension happen here. So just take your stick, take your hands, and rotate your hands in and out. Flat, there's a point where it starts becoming tense. So we want it to be halfway between thumbs up and flat. We call this the American grip. This grip, where the thumbs are on top of the sticks and you're using just your fingers and no wrist, is called the French grip. We use this a lot on timpani. Where you have the hands more flat, we call the German grip, okay, because there's a lot of weight to the top of the stick. But on the American grip, it's kind of halfway between, so your hands will be just a little bit tilted. All right, so not flat, not straight, but just halfway between. And you'll find that to be pretty comfortable as you start playing. All right, so take a moment, go to flat, feel that tension that happens when you're flat, and then relax it just a little bit. And that's the position that you need before you start playing the drum. All right, now we're ready for the first stroke called the rebound stroke. And incidentally, in the grip, there is also another grip called the traditional grip. And a traditional grip you're going to see quite often in marching band or drum set players. A traditional grip developed at a time when drummers wore their drums on the side of their body. It was hanging on a rope, and it was here for the military uses of a big drum, hanging here because I'm moving up and down. I don't want to hear, okay? I had to have it on the side of my body, so you'll see a lot of players grip their sticks using a traditional grip because I'm having to play my drum over here, which is a lot easier than playing the drum with a match grip. So if I'm playing traditional grip, or if I'm playing a drum that's on the side of my body, a rope drum, I'm definitely going to be using traditional grip because that drum is at an angle. Now you'll also see it in marching band and things like that. I really encourage you to learn match grip first, and then if you get good enough, you can learn traditional grip later, but you really need to have a private drum teacher to help you out. There's just a lot of finger and placement and wrist motion and all of those things that become pretty different. You want, having one hand do one thing and the other hand doing the opposite is a lot different. So you need somebody to help you out with that to make sure you're doing it correctly. For these lessons and for everything I'm playing in this book, I'm going to be playing match grip because it immediately applies to everything else we do, whether you're playing keyboard, snare drum, timpani, any of those instruments are going to be using the match grip. So that's what we're going to focus on. All right, let's learn the rebound stroke. So the rebound stroke is basically the most fundamental relaxed stroke that you're going to make on the snare drum. So a rebound stroke is when the stick starts high, we hit the drum, it rebounds back to us, and ends high. So starts high, ends high. Now to make a rebound stroke, the whole visualization that you need is to imagine yourself dribbling a ball. As I'm dribbling a ball, my wrist is very relaxed. I don't use my arm to dribble a ball. That would be kind of dumb because you can't dribble very fast with this huge lever here. You want to dribble with our smaller lever. So dribbling a ball, I'm just using my wrist. So I want you to relax your wrist and I want you to imagine yourself just dribbling a ball. Okay, the forearm's going to react a little bit as my wrist moves. I definitely don't want to freeze my forearm. Okay, I just want that to be nice and relaxed and my hand to be relaxed as I dribble an imaginary ball. You can do that with your left hand. All right, dribbling that ball is going to be fundamental to the stroke that we're going to make on the snare drum. So it really is a good thing to do at the beginning of every practice session, just to kind of get up to the drum, take the stick out of your hand, relax your hand, and move your wrist up and down, pretending you're dribbling a ball, because that's exactly the motion that we want. Notice that if my hand is sideways, it's very hard to dribble, okay? I'm shaking somebody's hand. I can't do that nearly as fast as I can when my hand is in that nice relaxed position. Other thing you can try to show you how important it is to stay relaxed. I want you to take your hand, I want you to squeeze it really hard, and then imagine that you're knocking on a door, and try to do that as fast as possible, squeezing the back fingers. So you can see within a couple of seconds almost that this starts becoming tired. Your muscles become tired, you feel really tense. This can actually, all of that tension that you have in your hand can actually damage and cause carpal tunnel or different damage to your muscles. So we want to make sure that we stay as relaxed as possible. So open your hand up, okay? Now, pretend you're gripping a stick and wrap those back fingers around, but keeping those relaxed, and do the same thing. So if we can get to that place where you are gripping a pretend stick, wrapping your back fingers around, and feeling that nice relaxed motion, then you're ready for the rebound stroke. All right, grip the stick, got the stick in your hand, you got your back fingers around. I want you to move the stick to what I call the up position. So if you're in the center of the pad and you go up, this is the up position, this is the down position. All we're going to do is throw the stick to the head one time, and then we're going to relax those back fingers and allow the stick to jump back up. So try that with me. I just want you to start in the up position, throw the stick to the head, and allow it to rebound back to the up position. So do that with me. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, ready, go. So if your back fingers are relaxed, then that rebound will come down here. The stick will hit the back end of your inside of your palm, and then as you rebound up, you'll feel the stick hit your fingers again. Let's do it a couple more times with the right hand. 1, 2, ready, go. 2, ready, go. 2, ready, go. 2, ready, go. 2, and stop there. Let's try it with the left hand. So if you're a right-handed player, this might seem a little awkward, okay? What we don't want to do is use our arm. We just want to, with a flick of the wrist, throw the stick down and allow it to rebound. Left hand. 1, 2, ready, go. 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 Or stop. All right, so as you do that, you might see, you see the stick kind of moving around in my fulcrum. So we want to make sure that our fulcrum doesn't change as we do this exercise. We want to make sure that our fulcrum is firm, but not overly squeezing the stick. Now, depending on your practice pad and depending on the velocity or the force that I use on my throw, the stick will jump up either fast or slow. If I use no velocity, and you're going to hear me talk about velocity a lot in the lessons, velocity, basically how loud I play. If I throw my stick, it's like throwing a baseball against a wall. If I throw it really hard, it has a lot of velocity to it, and it will bounce back as far as, the wall allows it to. Okay? The same thing happens with a stick. If I use a lot of velocity, the stick will jump back really fast all the way up. If I use no velocity, then the stick barely jumps back up. So the speed of my throw and the force of my throw will determine how quickly my rebound stroke will rebound back to the up position. So let's try it with the right hand. I want you to use just a little bit of velocity, and we're going to take it a little bit faster. So I want you to think of 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And what I'm trying to do is push the stick to the head and catch it when it gets to the top with my fingers, push it back down. Let's try it with just the right hand. We call this a one-handed exercise because I'm only playing it with one hand. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Keep going. Do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, let me point out a couple of things that you should be looking for. And the more knowledge that you have and the more critical you are of watching yourself as you're playing, the faster you're going to get better. So if I'm just playing and I'm not really paying any attention at all to my grip, to my stroke, to anything, I'm going to actually develop bad habits, okay? It's really nice to have a private teacher so that they can watch your hands and show you any bad habits you're developing along the ways, but also having all of the knowledge in your head about what you should be doing helps as well. So always be critical of yourself. So as I'm playing this, and I see that I'm only using my wrist, not my arms just kind of reacting, keeping my shoulders relaxed, my elbow close to the body, hitting in the center of the stick, in the center of the pad. I also want to always check my fulcrum, that my thumb is on the stick, not above the stick, not below the stick, and that my fulcrum stays where this is aligned here, top to bottom. So my thumb doesn't start creeping up or creeping back. And then my back fingers are always relaxed around the stick. Not squeezing, but relaxed. A few more right hands, and then we're going to do a whole bunch of left hands, because left hands is usually pretty terrible. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now experiment a little bit with the velocity, how much force you're using, and the speed of the throw. Now, if you want a big stroke and you want to utilize your full motion of your wrist, you'll use a lot of velocity. Now, if that was on a drum, that would be really loud. And if I was teaching a class of 8 to 10 percussionists, having everybody on a drum playing with a lot of velocity would be deafening. So this is why we love practice pads. So as you're practicing this, we really want that smooth motion. The next thing I want you to look for is to see whether the stick is moving straight up and down. All right, so we're not coming in at an angle. Okay, we're not stopping the stick at the bottom or the top of the stroke. Everything should be nice and fluid. Now, once you get to a certain speed, this just becomes a nice dribble. And the motion is almost doesn't stop at the top. Okay, so at this speed, my hand is just in a constant motion up and down. So what I really encourage you to do, first on the right hand, set your metronome on 60 and practice strokes. Let's turn my metronome on so you can hear what that sounds like. So at 60 beats a minute, I'm listening to the metronome, and I'm making sure that I'm playing as close as I can to the metronome. Now 60 is very slow, so I like to add a subdivision in there. So I'm thinking 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now at this slow tempo, you're going to see my stick stop at the top. I throw it back down, getting used to doing that. Now you need to do that for a few minutes just to get used to that very slow tempo. All right. If I move it up to 80 beats per minute, and I'm thinking 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, it's kind of the same type of stroke. Throwing it down, it stops at the top, I throw it down again. Okay, I can move it up to 100. Now it almost starts becoming a continuous motion. Okay, just getting used to hearing that and seeing that going straight up and down on every stroke. Watching my hand, making sure my stick is moving straight up and down. Once you get to about 120, then it's really a continuous motion. 1, 2, ready, go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now I'm really relaxed. Okay, so here's what I encourage you to do. With your right hand first, because you really want to get comfortable with your right hand, practice at 60 beats per minute. Do it for a couple of minutes. If you can find a play-along track or your metronome that'll help you stay in tempo, that's always good. Move that up to 80, move it up to 100, move it up to 120, at least a couple of minutes on each tempo. As you get up to 100 or 120, this becomes a continuous motion, and you can really tell whether I'm nice and relaxed on that rebound stroke. Then, with your left hand, you're going to do exactly the same thing. Now, I promise you that if you are on your right, if you're a right-handed person, then this is going to take quite a long time before you feel really comfortable with it, okay? Because our muscles are just not as finesseful, they're not as developed on our left hand as they are on the right, but practicing on your left hand at a very slow tempo is really, really important. Now, what you can do, because we're really training our muscles, we're not necessarily having to think really hard, except for looking at what we're doing. What we really want to do is do it over and over and over for a long period of time. So what I love to tell my students is that when you are practicing your left hand, you need to do this for 5 minutes. 2 minutes on your right hand probably will get you towards a good rebound stroke, but you need at least 5 minutes on each tempo. So take your practice pad, watch TV, listen to some music. Play along with a metronome, but really it's about just kind of vegging out, letting your muscles get used to what you're telling it to do. So we call this, a lot of times, I call it muscle memory. It's really not muscle memory. There's no memory that's happening in your muscles. Your muscles are reacting a certain way every single time you do it correctly. That means a neuron from your brain is firing into your muscle, telling your muscle what to do. So if I do something wrong, my brain will start telling my muscles, hey, relax. Or if I start hitting a drum in a different place, I can fix the problem by my neurons firing to my muscles to tell it to move that stick straight up and down. Okay? So as you develop this, over time, there's no real reason to rush to lesson 1, but over time, as you develop it on your left hand, your muscles will have the memory, muscle memory, to just do it without you having to think about it. But it requires some repetition. So this is part of the process that you're going to learn all the way through the book, is that you need to do something over and over and over and over a bunch of times to where you train your muscles how to do it correctly, train your mind to tell your muscles how to do it correctly, and you've got that muscle memory down. Now I can play rebound strokes on my left hand. I don't even have to think about it. I can teach you a lesson. I can be really annoying to everybody. I can watch TV. And I don't really have to pay attention to my stick because I know I'm doing it correctly. All right, so your homework, or the first thing I need you to do, is to do those rebound strokes. And I would say do this for the whole first week before you move into lesson 1. Because once you start changing your sticking patterns and doing paradiddles and all that other kind of stuff, if you can't play rebound strokes on your right hand, rebound strokes on your left hand, if you can't do that one hand at a time, then you're not going to be able to do the next stage, which is lesson 1. So practice, have patience, enjoy the process, remember all of those checkpoints, and when you have the one-handed exercise down with at least match grip, then I'll see you in lesson number 1.